Hello, welcome back to Buckle Up. My name is Rob Wilson and this is the new Audi A6 e-tron. And today I'm going to find out if it's any good. Right, okay then, so before we drive it, let's have a quick look around the outside where we can see the new Audi electric era face, where we've got a sort of knot grille with some satin grey elements in there. We've got the Audi logo, which obviously now lights up because that is the fashion. We've got some daytime running lights up here, separate from your main beam headlights down here, indicators also in that daytime running light section. There is actually a small frunk under here, 27 litres, so not massive. And we've got some S-line bits because this is an S-line trim, so a bit more sporty looking. But let's have a look down the side, where here we have some 20-inch alloy wheels. We've got a S-line badge here on the front wing. We do have some chromey bits around the window, which isn't that common anymore these days. We do have, weirdly, Audi and A6 Sportback e-tron written in the sort of B-pillar section of the window frames. Not sure how I feel about that. We have electronically opening doors. There's no physical latch or lever here. It's just an electronic press. Works most of the time, but not all of the time. Not a fan of that. We've got e-tron, again, scripted here into this black section of the lower part of the doors. And then here we have our electronically opening charging flap. On this side, you just have your AC charger, so you can charge at 11 kilowatts, and that means that you can charge all the way up to 100% in about 10 hours. But then on the other side, you have your DC charger. So that charges at 270 kilowatts, and that means a charge of 10 to 80% will take about 21 minutes. But what it means is when you're at home, you don't have to park your car on a particular side. You can do so from either side of the car, which is really useful. I can close that up at the touch of a button, and then I'll head round to the back. Here we have the ever fashionable light bar and an Audi badge which lights up red as well. It's also got a sort of faux diffuser thing going on down here. Again, more bits of that satin grey finish around the car. Now the interesting thing is that this is obviously now a Sportback, which means that the whole tailgate lifts up. So when I click the button, the boot and the glass part lift up, which makes this way more practical than if it was just a normal saloon car. Now in here we have 502 litres of space, and if you fold those seats down in the back there, that goes up to 1330 litres, which is really rather good. And then in here, it's a reasonably flat floor until you get close to the seats when there's a small ramp up there, but all that means is that when those seats are laid flat, there isn't a step in the floor, so you can continue to push items all the way through if you need to. Now there is a double parcel shelf going on here as well, because obviously this is quite a large area that we're lifting up here, but it's still trying to maintain that saloon, swoopy, four-door coupe shape that's now become fashionable. And then if we want to have a look at the actual features in here, there are a couple of cutouts either side here, which you could put items in if you wanted to. We've got a 12-volt socket, we've got tie-down points in the four corners. We do have a floor that we can lift up where we've got a subwoofer, tyre kit and repair kit, that sort of stuff hidden under there, but not really a usable space if you're wanting to put other items under there. As you can see, the charging cable bag is just sort of littered here in the middle, but you can fasten that to one of the tie-down points should you need to. But what I think I'll do now is I'll go and sit in those back seats and see how I fit. Okay, so here in the back, and I guess I'll start by talking about how much space I've got in here. So for reference, I am 6'2" or 188 centimeters tall, and this driver's seat is currently set up in my driving position. And as you can see, legroom wise, I've actually got a decent amount here. There are cutouts in the back of the seats, but I don't really need them, even with my seat set up correctly. The only thing I am sort of half struggling with is headroom. As you might be able to see, if I sit up straight, I would have to turn my head to the side. But because I've got that extra bit of leg room, I can just slouch down a bit and then it's not really a problem at all. In terms of foot room, you can actually just about put your feet under that front seat. So the floor isn't too high and it isn't completely flat here in the middle, but it is reasonably close to that. The middle seat is very narrow, especially compared to the outer seats, and it's quite raised. So if you were 3 up in here, would only recommend it for really quite short journeys in that case. And then in terms of things that we've got here, we've got this armrest here in the middle. We've got 2 cup holders in there as well. I can actually just split this middle seat out as well, so you can have through loading come in here as well. So if you like to go skiing, or I don't know, you've got a Christmas tree, something like that, it will just slide through here and not have to eat into the outer passengers space. We've also got Isofix on the outer seats. We've got decent door pockets here on the sides. We've got air vents here in the middle, and we have our own climate control in the back. Not for each side, just one temperature for the back. We don't have any nets on the back of the front seats, so storage is a little bit at a premium here in the back. There's no real special toys or anything going on back here. Materials still soft on the top of the doors where I rest my arm, all good in that department. But what I think I'll do now is head up into the front and see what's going on there. Right, okay then, so up here, let's start by talking about what's going on here in front of me. So we've got this S-line steering wheel, we've got an S badge on it here, and then we've got 2 banks of capacitive buttons on either side of the steering wheel. On the left hand side, I've got controls for changing through the different menus that I can display on here, so I can have various different things either side of my speedo in the middle if I want to. So I can have my, economy figures, I can have my music, I can have maps, it's very, very configurable in here. And then this side, I've got the controls for your volume, you're changing your track, your phone, your voice controls, that sort of stuff. Then we have some paddles on the back of the steering wheel. Now these control how eager the regen can be. So we've got 2 stages to pick from for that. Or because we have our gear selector down here in the center, we can select D for drive or B for enhanced braking. So if you want to have the full sort of one pedal experience, you can put it in B mode and then it just is one pedal driving essentially. They can't really call it that for legal reasons, but that's what it is. We've also got a heads-up display which I can see on my windscreen, so that can display usual stuff like your speed and sat-nav instructions, but obviously also incorporates things like blind spot and other safety features as well. Now, speaking of safety things, we do have a light bar that goes the full width of the top of the dashboard, and that changes colour depending on what's happening around you. Most of the time it's just lit up in a white colour, but if I put the indicators on, for example, on that side it's gone green. So I don't have the indicator light on the door mirror as you may be used to. It's actually in the car, and if for any reason the emergency automatic city braking came on, that would go red and flash at me, and it's like another visual warning that something's going to happen, as well as the sound that the car makes. So it is an interesting thing that not a lot of cars have, and it definitely helps with the safety element of the driving experience. We've got a massive screen here in the center which controls pretty much everything to do with the car. So you do have your internal navigation and your climate functions are all controlled through there, and it is reasonably responsive, and heated seats, and it responds to my touch very, very quickly indeed. Obviously we've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in here as well if you want to do that. Below that we have a bank of central air vents. We do have more either side of the car. Then we've got a sort of bin area which has got 2 USB-Cs and a 12-volt socket in there as well. And there is a phone charger that you can actually clip your phone into so it doesn't fly about while you're driving, which is good. Then we've got a physical rotary knob for the volume and changing the track and that sort of stuff over here, we have a drive select mode, so you can pick balanced, dynamic, comfort or efficiency, which is very posh sounding. Got hazard button and a traction control off button, and you do actually have a start stop button, so you can physically turn the car on and off if you want to, but when you get in and press the brake pedal, it's just on. If you've unlocked the car, obviously, which you'd have to get in the first place. We do have a shortcut button down here for the safety system, so if you don't like the speed warning, the lane departure warning, that sort of stuff, it's a very quick press and then you just slide the screen to get rid of it. Another shortcut button for the surround view cameras as well. We've got full 360 top-down view. We've got 2 cup holders here as well, and the bottle of water that fits in there also fits in the door pocket over here. And while we're over here, we've got a little panel on the handle part of when you're opening and closing the door. That incorporates not only the mirror controls, which you would sort of expect, and the child locks, but we've also got the lighting controls here as well. So most of the time it's obviously in auto, but you've got your rear fog light and front fog light buttons on there. So that's moved from maybe what you would consider the traditional place of to the right of the steering wheel here. It's more visible and I think accessible there on the door. You do have a cruise control stalk separate from the indicator lights and wipers stalks down here. And then practicality wise, well, we've got a bin here in the center under this armrest. We've got a glove box, which is a reasonable size, and that's sort of it. Now, in terms of toys and stuff like that, obviously big screens, heads-up display, lovely. We've also got Bang & Olufsen speakers, which when they work are brilliant. I have had a problem where it just stopped working for an entire journey and I couldn't get them to come on. It wasn't Apple CarPlay that was playing up, it was definitely the speakers because the radio also didn't work. Slightly odd technical issue going on there. And then the only other thing that sort of slightly confuses me is the seats, because this is, I think in this spec, about £77,000. I'm not going to go into all the details of all the different specs because it would be forever and the pricing would be out of date by the time the video comes out. But for £77,000, I would have expected electric seats. But no, I have a lever for moving my seat up and down, backwards and forwards, and I have a dial on the side for changing the rake. So yeah, that's a bit of an oversight if you ask me. I know that Audi have a reputation for charging £1 million for optional extras, but that seems like a big one to me. Anyway, that's probably enough wittering on about that. Let's go drive it. Right, okay then, so driving the A6 e-tron, and I guess I'll start by talking about the figures associated with this car. So, we have, in this version, this is a S-Line Performance. We've got a 100 kilowatt hour battery, of which 94.9 kilowatt hours is actually usable. Now that gives it a claimed range of 459 miles, which sounds amazing, brilliant, fantastic. But in the real world, I haven't been really getting anywhere near to that sort of estimated range. For example, I have got 66% battery at the minute, so 2/3, and I have 205 miles of range. So you can do the maths as well as I can. It's a roughly 320 mile range car. Now that's obviously quite drastically different to the claimed range, which is worked out using the WLTP cycle. Now on that cycle, this car can do 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour on the combined city, motorway, you know, that sort of stuff driving. In reality, what this car has done over the past 267 miles is 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour, so considerably less than that. And that is the real reason for this disparity in the claimed range versus what I'm actually seeing while driving. Now, I haven't been driving like an arse. I've been driving around town, and when you do drive around town, you can see 4+ miles per kilowatt hour But when you are driving on country roads, as there are a lot around where I'm from, or on motorways, that does drop and it does become a lot less efficient. Also, the temperature seems to make a big old difference as well. We're now entering the colder seasons, so that could also be having an effect. But yeah, not brilliant in terms of what it says it'll do versus what it actually does. Performance-wise, well, we've got 367 PS. There's actually 380 PS available if you use launch control. There's 565 Newton meters of torque, so a big healthy amount there. 0 to 60, 5.6 seconds, and a top speed, electronically limited top speed, of 130 miles an hour. Now, what's surprising about the range figures to me really is that yes, this is an electric car, so it is heavy. No getting around that. It's the wrong side of 2 tons, maybe even 2.5 tons, depending on which version you go for. But what is really impressive is how slippery this car is, how well it moves through the air. It has a drag coefficient of just 0.21, which puts it on par with things from Tesla, the Hyundai Ioniq 6, for example. So really up there with the best of the best. But that doesn't seem to translate into an extended range, unfortunately. In terms of how the car drives, well, it's quite large physically on the road. It's big, but there is actually nice weight to the steering. I'm on some slightly twistier country roads at the minute, and it's dealing with those really nicely. Obviously, when you put your foot down, you do get pushed back into your seat, so it does have that instant electric torque thing that all EVs basically do, especially powerful ones like this. But it's not sporty, and I don't think Audi were necessarily leaning into that with this car, because it is really quite comfortable actually. The ride feels very compliant. It doesn't really let any noise into the cabin when you're going over bigger potholes and bumps. It sort of cushions that and dampens out that intrusive noise that sometimes comes into the cabin. It does feel quite well isolated from what's happening outside. So for me, whereas something like a BMW i5 would be still considered reasonably driver focused, this is more a cruiser, I would say. This is something for doing miles in comfortably, quietly. But when I say miles, obviously I do have a sort of pinch of yes, but it doesn't actually do that as many as it claims on a charge. It still does a lot of miles, like there's no getting around 300 plus miles, 350 miles is a really decent real world figure. It's just a bit of a shame when it says it'll do 460 near us, damn it. So anyway, I'll gloss over that. So it drives reasonably well, it's nice and quiet, and the problem is the range. So with that in mind, let's go back and do a proper conclusion. Okay then, so that is the A6 e-tron tested. So what am I thinking? Well, I think it is a very competent car. It's very nice, it's very pleasant, it's just a little bit boring. And weirdly, that sort of lines up with the old car, the petrol-powered version. But is it as good as the BMW i5 or the Mercedes EQE? Well, you tell me. Let me know down in the comments. While you're there, make sure to give the video a like, but most importantly, please do subscribe to the Buckle Up YouTube channel and ding that notification bell so you never miss one of our uploads. If you want to support what we do, you can head on down to the description where we've got links to our social media, our merch, and you can become a channel member right here on YouTube. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.